And now I think the fall, the tumble, and the concern here with government is gridlock. People are very concerned that government's not getting anywhere. I mean, two statistics that really stand out to me from this election. Only 25% have a favorable view of Congress. 90% of the people who ran for re-election got re-elected. And that's the nature, that's the source of the frustration.
At the turn of the decade, the trust of American institutions trended more towards mistrust than faith. And now we find ourselves divided by party lines, divided by economic inequality, and divided from each other. Then, out of seemingly nowhere, came a direct response to the holes forming in modern society. The hype surrounding cryptocurrencies, along with the much-needed skepticism, stems from a misunderstanding of the technology, its design, and its purpose. See, even for people who know what, say, a Bitcoin is and what it isn't, the long list of altcoins, each with its own purpose and oftentimes its own scam, make it impossible for your average Joe to care about it all. And for the people who know nothing about crypto, these currencies can seem like, well, a figment of some nerd's imagination. I've lost track at the number of times I've had this conversation.
You got paid in what?
Oh, it's this stablecoin that's backed by the Ethereum block. As to why these currencies are valuable in the first place, well, I think that's where so many get lost. Do you recognize this guy? I'm sure most of you do. But for those of you that don't, that's Vitalik Buterin. He's 23 in this video, and at age 19, he proposed his ideas for a smart economy. Since the platform's release in 2015, Ethereum has remained the largest developer-driven, hypest crypto platform. But why? Why has Ethereum remained the second most valuable cryptocurrency for the past 2 years, second only to the originator of the movement, Bitcoin? Let's ask Vitalik himself. He, an economist/principal researcher at Microsoft, Glenn Weil, right? Over the last half-decade, each of us has, in his own way, been working on a part of an alternative solution to find ways to harness markets and technology to radically decentralize power of all sorts and shift our reliance from authority into formal rules. And that's the big picture. Now, just like a normal person doesn't need to know how their house is wired or how their plumbing works beyond the flush of a toilet, it's still easy to get excited about crypto without getting bogged down by all the underlying technology. For the sake of catch-up, here's what you need to know. Blockchain is just the way to store data. Each bit of data is stored into a block. Each block is cryptographically connected to another block, forming this chain. Anything beyond this deserves its own video, and let me know in the comments if you want to learn more about blockchain. That being said, we should still clarify some things about Ethereum, especially the things that make it special. Ethereum, as is the case with many of these crypto projects, has a goal much larger than this graph portrays. Ethereum is an open source, distributed platform for building decentralized applications. I think it's hard to see that when MSM tries to bring crypto into the limelight, and easy to forget when all you're doing is looking at candlesticks all day. Ether, what this number correlates to, is just a store of value that is used to power the entire ecosystem. Ether is like the fuel you use to make your car go. And if Ether is the fuel, then applications are the car. You can test this out right now. There are tons of projects being built on Ethereum. Probably the easiest to understand and one of the most crucial applications would be MetaMask, an Ethereum wallet that lets you access decentralized apps on your native browser. And then you could use CryptoKitties, an online game where you collect, buy, sell, and breed virtual kittens using Ether. This is all really cool, and Ethereum is live, so we can do some really interesting things with it. But this begs the question, why aren't we all using it to pay for our electricity bills or using it to fund our crippling opiate addiction? And the answer is pretty simple. We can't. At least not all of us.
I'm here for the same reason you is, man. I want some crack.
Simply put, Ethereum is not ready for the mainstream. Whether it will be in the future remains to be seen. Let's think about this. Right now, it's estimated that the Ethereum network can handle a max of 15 transactions per second. And every transaction on the network happens on the main Ethereum chain. For reference, let's think about something like Twitter. Twitter at its worst is handling hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. At its best, it's handling millions of tweets, favorites, and DMs per second. This just isn't feasible on a decentralized blockchain. For an Ethereum transaction to complete, the results of the smart contract must come to a consensus across the network. This enables the system to prevent malicious actors from controlling the network. But the effect of this security measure results in a program needing to be ran across many machines across the world. This is the challenge to overcome. Scaling solutions are currently being developed. State channels are bringing an overall reduction to the number of transactions on the network. Plasma will combat transaction logging by introducing the idea of child chains. And the most exciting improvement to Ethereum will come with Serenity, or Ethereum 2.0, with the addition of sharding, a massive improvement that would fragment the large 1 terabyte Ethereum network into separate yet unified blockchains. This is the roadmap for Ethereum. We can hope to see these changes ready in 2021, and I think this timeline is ambitious. Let's assume the crypto hype continues, and I think it will, particularly among who are the lifeblood for these types of projects. There is still a greater battle to be won, and that battle is named adoption. At the end of the day, those of us who are not only enthusiasts, but those of us who actually try our best to use crypto in interesting ways are hoping to see decentralized blockchains take off. Ethereum has the best tools for developers, the best documentation, and a well thought out plan moving forward. But who is to say if Ethereum is the design solution for moving forward? I have my doubts, because it turns out making a decentralized internet is much harder than the guys on Silicon Valley would like us to believe.
Is that number correct?
The delta in mean device efficiency? Yeah, it is.
I like the design principles of Ethereum. It's a generic, decentralized smart contract operator that allows developers to connect logic and finance without middlemen and without third-party actors. Data is secured by the math and the reasoning of the system itself, rather than the shoddy engineers at megacorporations who haven't worked with a programming language outside of Java in the past 20 years. But I can appreciate the design of other players in the space. Only time will tell whether Ethereum can succeed as a generic decentralized platform, or whether the decentralized future will inherently rely on specializations and interoperability. If you want to learn more about crypto or hear me ramble on about these projects, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.